Dumb poem about a Wolverine doesn't even make any sense. Something about the moon. Could've just asked for my help, fake your death. This is really overly complicated. Nate? Nate? Stay back. You look really dumb. You don't look a thing like Deadpool. Stay back. You look really stupid. He might have looked better in the movie. You gotta stop. You asked for it, bub. Don't worry, brother. I'll save you now. I like you now all of a sudden out of nowhere for no reason because plot. So if you want to see behind the scenes footage of how we got that amazing James Cameron level movie making done, that is over on our Patreon. We appreciate you very much. Link is in the description below. Here's the actual review. No spoilers first. This movie sucks. It's awful.
Really bad.
This movie's god awful. But here's the thing. It is just fun enough with huge Xmen playing Wolverine still. You know, he's a bright spot in anything.
Yeah, he's good in every movie.
That it can be fun. That's all I'm saying. That is my positive for this. We're not going to get into spoilers, but I truly believe the only good things in this movie are huge Xmen. No, actually, I take that back. There's two other things I'll get to. That was great. He's great. Another thing was actually the opening montage.
Yeah, that was fantastic, actually.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in spoilers. That's really good. Sadly, as many people have pointed out, the whole movie could have been about that, and it would have been better.
Right.
And I guess the music is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's not bad.
And the fight choreography.
Yes.
This is where X-Men started to up its game with fight choreography. I cannot believe I'm saying that since it's this movie.
Right.
But this is the one. What do you think, Nate?
I will also... Actually, I'll save that for spoilers. But another thing I actually liked about the movie, too, was Gambit. Mm-hmm. I thought he was well done for his small part. It actually made me excited for that Gambit movie that they promised us, and then they backed out on. But... yeah, I think overall the movie was kind of a mess. It didn't hit on the points really strong that it tried to portray. It tried to make you feel for Wolverine and like his relationships and all this stuff, but it just failed.
You know what's weird, and I've seen this pointed out in other reviews for this. This is a movie that's been just widely panned, by reviewers,
right?
YouTubers. Critics, everybody. This was trying to answer, like you said, one of the most interesting points in the Fox X-Men universe, right?
Yeah.
How did he become Wolverine? What was the Weapon X program?
Right.
What was his time in the service like? Things like that. Mm. These were huge questions. Like, we knew that he was military. Obviously, if we read the comics, we knew, the backstory there. But it's Fox. They could have gone any way with this, right?
Right.
So we knew Wolverine's military. We knew that he had gone through some past trauma of some kind. We knew that he lost his memory. We knew that he got powers. That's what we knew, right? Could have been really interesting getting into that. But it's not at all. It's, in fact, ridiculous and a snooze fest.
Right.
And that's a problem when the only real, like we said, the only real big main things going for your movie are the guy who has played this character for years at this point is back. And that's your selling point.
And those fantastic CGI claws.
Yeah, they look horrible.
Yeah, it seemed like they just wanted to make a movie with the hugest of acts. My main problem with the movie is the directors failed to draw you in to anything. They had a lot of different storylines going in the movie. None of them really worked or were interesting. And then by the end of the movie, I'm not going to really get into this until we get to the spoiler section. By the end of the movie, it kind of like, it just didn't really matter anymore, in a sense.
Yeah.
And you get to the end of the movie and you kind of watch it and go like, oh, okay. So we're back to basically where we were.
Right, but no, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, if the journey sucks,
Right. Then it's like, what's the point?
And the destination is just getting back to ground zero,
Right.
like where you started. It doesn't matter at all. So I don't know. It was very silly. Do we have anything else for non-spoilers? I mean, at the end of the day, this movie's bad. I can have some enjoyment watching it. I understand that a lot of people were more disappointed with Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at the writing, I'm being serious. Like, I'm not just saying this is my opinion. Obviously, they all are. But look, if you look as objectively as possible at the writing in this movie is even worse than that.
Right.
No matter how bad you think that is. I truly believe that. Because, like, you have no plot investment. You have the most generic storyline that's been told 500 times, just to get to one of the most iconic comic book characters in history and one of the people who started the superhero movie craze.
Yeah.
And you don't even pay that off. I mean, Everything's generic, overdone. You have the cringiest scene ever, which, not to get into spoilers, but with the poem.
Oh, man.
I cannot believe that this was greenlit as his origin. And I can't believe when people say they don't like Dark Phoenix more than this. I truly believe this is like the cherry on top of the pile of crap that the X-Men movies have a few entries of,
Right.
Mostly we like them, but just a couple of these are just horrid.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I think if you're planning on watching the movies, obviously don't skip it. But when you go into the movie, lower your expectations is what I will say to people who haven't seen it. Lower your expectations immensely.
Yeah.
Like, go into it the same expectations you would with, like, Transformers. Just watch it.
Except it's less fun.
Yeah. Watch
Somehow.
it, kind of be like, okay, I guess I can get some enjoyment out of some scenes of this, and then move on.
Right, if nothing else...
It's not really worth your time otherwise.
If nothing else, I will say that this does add to the tragedy a little bit of who Logan is.
Right.
That's
right.
it. So let's get into spoilers. First off, this movie butchers a lot of characters, like, just in general. Stryker, by the way, is now stupid.
Right.
Like, he's awful in this movie. He's like the worst villain ever. I mean, he's not really, but he's just horribly generic. All he is evil military guy.
Yeah.
So in X-Men 2, they introduced a lot of depth with Stryker. There was the stuff with his son, and he manipulated his son. He basically lobotomized his son and used him as a weapon. Really dark. There was the racism element of, like, he was just terrified of any mutants that were not normal and they needed to all be dead and wiped out.
Yeah, because they were different than him.
Yeah. And wasn't it mainly because his son accidentally killed his wife?
Yeah, I think
was, like,
so.
the
I think so,
catalyst.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
And,
well, he sent his son to Professor X
Yeah.
to be fixed.
Right, he didn't think that he'd be taught. He thought he'd be cured.
Yeah, he wanted Professor X to fix his son,
like,
but it
remove
didn't
his powers.
work.
Yeah.
And, well, Professor X obviously wasn't going to do that.
He didn't want to.
Right.
No. Like, I think that what he wanted was, he wanted his son to either have his powers removed or Professor X to, like, lobotomize them out of him.
Right.
Like, basically, they never said this, but it almost seemed like he either wanted him to remove them physically or remove his ability to use them.
Right.
So that he'd just be a normal kid. That never happened. So then there's a whole ton of tragedy there. All of that is really done away with here because it just doesn't matter. There's like a couple throwaway lines, They do a better job building the backstory of his son almost in future movies in the timeline, actually, with like the after the Days of Future Past split.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, with this movie, with him, Stryker specifically, kind of like you said, there was no emotion behind him either. He was just a generic villain, like you said. I think they would have done well to actually maybe show his son, maybe as a kid or something like that.
Yeah.
So you can actually see some backstory with his son, but they didn't. They just had Stryker, and Stryker just wanted to basically use Wolverine, take him in, try his new technology thing out.
And then kill him.
By
By the way, that was the dumbest plan ever. It was like, let's see if this technology works to make a weapon. We made the weapon, let's kill it.
Right.
Also,
okay.
But here's what I don't understand about it. So if he wanted to turn Wolverine into a weapon to use him, right?
Right.
But No. He didn't want to use him. He wanted to use him to prove the tech worked.
Yeah.
That a weapon guy could be made.
Right.
Because weapons 1 through 9 were apparently like kind of failures. So weapon X is weapon 10. So let's say he wanted to do that. But how come in this movie then, why did he create Deadpool later on, Wade, to be that ultimate weapon and be mind controlled? Why didn't he just do that to Wolverine from the start? He could have just turned him into, you know, this combination of powers, or he could have, I mean, I know he was still collecting powers, but he also could have just like used him in the same way he used Deadpool.
Yeah, I don't know. That would have been a way better storyline. I mean, not really, but that would have been a way smarter idea for him.
Yeah.
But instead he decided, oh, let's make this Wolverine guy basically indestructible.
And then try to kill him.
By the way, he already knew Wolverine had healing powers.
Strong ones.
Strong healing powers.
Yeah.
2, he already had like insane bone claws and was angry in life. 3, he killed his wife, so now Wolverine wants revenge.
Oh, but he didn't kill his wife. It was a fake out. She was
But
that old time.
He thought he did, though.
I know, but it was so stupid.
And then he basically then injected him with metal and made him indestructible, and then was like shocked when he went around killing things.
He was shocked when like one bullet man who tried to curve bullets couldn't kill him.
Right.
Also, why was Bullet Man who tried to curve bullets not a problem? Like, he could live and be a mutant and be used, but Wolverine couldn't.
Right.
There's a lot of things in the story that don't make any sense. And like, so he has to blackmail Wolverine's girlfriend to control her, but he can't control her with mind control.
Yeah. Why couldn't he just... Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense at all.
No, it doesn't.
You know, and it really makes Stryker out to be like this moron who doesn't really know what he's doing. He never thought his plan through at all.
But his end plan is not even to kill Wolverine in the end. It is to remove his memory.
Yes.
He's like, if I shoot him in the head, he'll lose his memory. Which, here's the thing. Look, I get it's a superhero movie, but there's different centers of the brain. There's different areas of the brain. I'm not a freaking rocket scientist here. Look, I got like a C in anatomy, okay? I'm fine admitting that. Average grade, worse than average. Okay, like right here, right? This might be responsible for... I don't know the brain hemispheres and stuff.
You're just making up examples.
Yeah, I don't know them off the top of my head, so sorry medical students watching an X-Men Wolverine review.
They're like on your cringing.
Break. Yeah, we got scrubs here in the comments section. If like this is responsible for like memory, this might be responsible for something totally different, like your butthole when you poop. You know? So like you shooting me here might not affect my memory at all, especially if my brain matter just regrows.
It'll just make you constipated.
Right, but then my brain matter will regrow in 5 seconds, I'll be fine.
Right.
So there was no way to know that the shot he took at the end would remove Wolverine's memory.
Right.
None. No chance. There's no way to know that. It was just, I'm going to do it because plot.
Yeah, also, how did he know that adamantium bullets somehow remove memory?
Well, I mean, they would have to pierce the skull and then destroy that part of the brain.
Yeah, but how did he know that would work?
I don't know, man. How did he know anything? The idea of Sabretooth and Wolverine being brothers in this universe is both stupid and makes no sense and could have been awesome.
It could have been amazing.
Because it's a cool idea. Like, their relationship in the beginning is done actually really well.
Right.
Up to the point where, you know, Victor starts losing control of Sabretooth and Wolverine walks away from him because he's way too brutal. But they had already established in the timeline that Sabretooth had met Wolverine several times. Sabretooth never lost his memory in this universe, and he just doesn't care that that's his brother in any future movie, like one.
Right.
They just retconned it in here, and it makes no sense in the course of the timeline, which is a pattern that we will get to in these movies.
Yeah, I think my main problem with that is that if they wanted that to be a thing, they should have done that in X-Men, the original X-Men. Made Sabretooth his brother, then it would have been really cool in this. However, that's kind of one of the plot holes now, is like, oh, wait a minute, Sabretooth is in X-Men, yet somehow he doesn't remember, and he's
lost
just
his memory.
there. Yeah. Yeah, I think I think that wasn't really thought out too well.
Well, because this movie jumped backward. This was like the start of a long string of the timeline making no sense.
Right. This movie was the one that ruined the timeline.
Yeah, actually.
Kind of.
Actually, to the point where it had to be fixed in Days of Future Past.
Exactly.
But then they found a way to wreck it again, kind of.
Yes. Which we'll get to that in later movies.
Yeah.
Could have been really cool, but then they ruined it. But yeah, I think Sabretooth... I think the idea of Sabretooth being his brother is cool. Mm-hmm. I like that idea. I'm fine with it.
I do too.
I thought they did a great job with it in this specific movie. But then later movies, it didn't make sense.
Well, that's the hard thing, is we have to view this both as a movie, right?
Right.
But it's a piece of a bigger puzzle.
Exactly.
On purpose. With any of these cinematic universes, if you release Captain Marvel, it has to both be a satisfying film on its own and fit in the greater scope. Otherwise, it should just be its own thing.
Exactly.
So when you are shoving this into a universe and it's only hurting the universe, why put it in there?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point?
I think the problem is the directors were like, okay, we need to make Sabretooth matter. Let's put him as his brother. That'll be cool. But they didn't think it out at all, which is kind of the story of this whole movie. I think this movie did a good job actually establishing Gambit as someone who is not an idiot and someone who actually kind of makes sense in the movie. I also thought they did a good job, like with his powers, his character, you actually caring about him. At least a little bit.
Yeah, because he's in the movie so
right.
little, but he was charming.
Right, exactly. And something I will say from my own personal experience, too, is I watched this movie for the first time when I was probably 12 or 13, whenever it was. I was kind of young. And this was actually my very first introduction in my life into Gambit. I had never even heard of him before. I've never seen anything on him. I saw him in this movie, and I actually really liked him. And from then on, I actually really like the character Gambit now. Like you said, I'm not like a huge fanboy, but I do really like his character. Right. Enough that I was excited for the movie with Channing Tatum that got dumped. I was actually excited for it.
It's more like you're excited when you see him. You don't seek it out.
Exactly. Like I see him, I'm like, oh, cool. Like I like this guy.
If I can play as Gambit, I'll play as Gambit. Right. Oh, I'm glad he's here. Yeah.
Right. I thought they did a good job, like with his cards, showing his kinetic energy and him using them, his staff. Stuff like that. They did a good job with his character and his powers, his charmingness, his lines, everything. There wasn't really anything wrong with Gambit. I could say, like, he wasn't in it that long.
Right, and it was cheesy, but the whole movie was cheesy,
exactly.
And he was, the least of it. Blob was stupid. They did that dumb.
Yeah. He was very body positive.
Yeah, yeah, totally. No, I mean, I agree with all that. I think, too, what you said about that, it kind of made me realize something as we're talking. This is, a good X-Men introduction movie for children.
Yes.
This is a movie that if you show a kid first, honestly, before even 1, 2, or 3, it might even work better for them.
Right.
They might understand it better. It's not too dark, but it's mature enough that, if you're a dad or a mom, you could sit there on your phone and not want to, jump off your roof.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So...
Yeah, when I was a kid, I actually enjoyed this movie.
Right.
And then when I got older and more wiser, like I am now...
Oh, what a guy.
I started to realize, no, this movie's pretty bad. Yeah. But when I was a kid, I actually really enjoyed it. I had fun watching him, go around on his motorcycle destroying choppers. But when you're a kid, you don't really care about plot. You're just like, ooh, explosions. I think the only other thing I have to add, I'm surprised we haven't even talked about it really yet, is the worst thing this movie did was Deadpool. Everyone has beaten this dead horse so many times.
That's why I think we didn't even.
I'm not really going to get into it that much.
But we even beat it in our
exactly. But when you have a character like Deadpool is supposed to be charming. He's supposed to be funny. He's supposed to be witty. And then you take all that away. It's what's the point of this character anymore? Even when he wasn't even Weapon X, he was just Deadpool.
Weapon 11.
He wasn't even really that funny or charming or anything. He just had a couple funny lines that were kind of oh, ha, ha, ha. But then that was it. And I just think it was a problem.
I felt so bad for Ryan Reynolds.
I know.
Loved that character.
He did.
And thank God he got to play him in his own stuff.
Exactly. But, and actually allowed him to do his thing.
Yeah. As a movie choice, he was a lame villain anyway, right?
Yeah.
His writing. But on the side of this being a superhero property, on the side of this being X-Men based, it was a disgrace in that way.
It was.
It was like disrespectful to fans, and I don't care if that's a little over dramatic.
Right.
It seriously was. It was like, hey, you who gave us your money, you're very passionate for Wolverine, the X-Men, all these characters. Here you go. Here's Deadpool. Oh,
well, he was only Deadpool for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Of the whole movie, and we got to see him do. And then it was like, oh, well, let's take away everything that Deadpool's known for.
Oh man, the most egregious part though is the ending, where they show that like his head is detached and his mouth that had been sewn shut is now ripped open, so he can talk now. Do you remember this?
I do.
It was like a post-credit type thing.
I do remember this.
And it was like his eyes open, and the idea was like, oh, Deadpool's still alive, and now he can talk, and now he'll be funny or something.
But then they never did anything with that.
Correct. And also, you would have had to have him have like eye laser beams and all kinds of crazy crap. It wouldn't have worked. Thank God they course corrected somewhat after this and started doing better stuff again. But man, you know, it's one of those things where like I appreciate Fox's attempts to be unique,
right,
over what the MCU does a little bit, but it did not pay off here.
No.
At all. So anyway, let us know what you think in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on this movie? Do you think it's horrible? Do you actually like it? I know a few people do like it. If so, what do you like about it? What are your least favorite parts about it? I'm interested in all that. Be sure to check out everything in the description down below. We very much appreciate your support. We actually do have a secondary channel, Degenerate Plays, where we play through video games. We talk about all kinds of stuff, movies, games, pop culture, current events, just literally everything. It's basically our podcast where we play through games. That is in the description down below. And if you want to help support the channel, help support independent content creators on YouTube, the link to the Patreon is in the description down below, where there are access to over 80, that is right, 80 behind the scenes videos, exclusive videos for patrons, all kinds of stuff like that. Links are in the description. We hope you have a fantastic day. Appreciate you. And as always, stay shway. I also want to say a special thank you to some of our amazing patrons. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to make new, fun, and unique content, without having to worry quite as much about some stuff. So we appreciate you very, very much. Steve, Jonah, and Caleb, thank you all so much for your support. We appreciate you very much on this channel. And if you are interested in the Patreon, where you will gain access to over 80 behind the scenes exclusive patron videos and content, be sure to check out the link in the description down below. Thank you again, and have a fantastic day.